My name is Jessica Tong. I am a violinist, originally from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Canadian. Uh, I first started actually on piano, though, and not violin, because I had asked my parents if I could play the largest instrument possible. And at the time, I thought that was the piano. And they obliged and they bought me a piano. But shortly after, I had a chance to visit Japan when I was about 5, and I got a chance to visit Dr. Suzuki
Oh
and
my
see
gosh.
him in person. And I don't remember much, but I remembered how incredibly kind he was and how took so much time and care to make everybody around him learning music feel um, involved and loved and really invested in every single person's education. And I think some of that rubbed off of me. And when I got off the plane from Japan, I asked my mom, I begged her if I could learn the violin. So I ended up playing both violin and piano for a long time. And then when I was older, I discovered chamber music and thought, there's no better way to try to make a living than playing incredible music with incredible people. So that's kind of the Coles Note version of how I started as a musician. So
I love that. Like, there's no better way of making a living chamber music because it's
it's the worst way possible, actually.
it's so profoundly lucrative and very stable.
Yeah, but but
But it's great. No, chamber music is amazing.
yeah, it was really this I think it was the first time in my life after learning since I could barely walk to play music that I felt like it was the first time I was a part of a greater whole
Mhm.
musically. I could play and build something that was bigger than each individual part, and yet I still had a very personal role to play.
Sure.
So that's kind of how my first love affair with chamber music started, and I played in a quartet for many years, and now I still play a lot of chamber music, but I also teach at SUNY Fredonia.
Right.
So
Right. Well, I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what you do at the Composers Conference.
sure. Well, I think the conference recently celebrated their 75th or 76th year.
Right.
It's supposed to be the 76th year in person originally. And what I think the chamber music workshop component of it has been in place for 60 years or so as well, almost as long as the entire conference. I have not been involved for the last 60 years of the chamber music workshop. I just started a few years ago, but I think what drew me to the conference was this idea that chamber music and people and adult amateurs, no matter what their level, no matter what their background, if they had a curiosity and an interest in new music, living composers, as well as the traditional canon of chamber music, that they were really encouraged to be a part of a community where they could continue to learn and explore um, kind of the evolution of music in the last century or so.
Yeah.
And um, I really love that because I feel very closely to this idea that as professional musicians, we not only get the opportunity or have the chance to perform incredible music, but it's also part of our responsibility to help educate those around us as to why music is relevant today. And I think being able to be in an environment with people who are really curious about what we do and are really open to experiencing something that is different from the familiar, I think it's a wonderful place to be. So, just in a nutshell, we have participants come from all around the world, actually. We have about 80 participants a year from the Chamber Music Workshop of adult amateurs. We put them into coached ensembles. Some come pre-formed, some come individually. They have repertoire that range from, Beethoven quartets, which we will love until our dying breath, to new music. And I have to say, with the combination of strings and piano and winds and brass that we have, since I started here, I have learned so many new composers and combinations of instruments that I never thought I would. And people bring new music to me all the time, or my colleagues introduce me to new music as well. And in addition to regular coached ensembles, we've also instituted different types of seminars based off of themes similar to what I learned when I was in school. So they'll either have themes of composers or technical issues or ensemble playing as a whole. And in their spare time that participants have when they're not doing one of these, we also encourage them to come and experience activities, sit in on composer lectures or rehearsals with the conference ensemble. You really don't have much of a spare moment when you're there. There's incredible music making and conversation going on all times of the morning, noon, and nighttime at the conference.
I think that's true. It's a pretty dense experience, intense and dense experience.
Yes.
No question. I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit about how, where we are now at the conference with the chamber music workshop and sort of how you see it moving forward and interacting with the other parts of the conference.
Well, for many years, we actually had a really great collaboration with the composers portion of the conference. A long time ago, a group of adult amateurs wanted to figure out a way to support one of the composer fellows. And also they realized that there wasn't really enough repertoire available for adult amateurs to play that also fell into the category of new music. And so they started a commission project where every year one of the fellows from the previous year would get a chance to write for a selected group of musicians that would get premiered next year. A few years ago, it came to a halt, but we've reinstituted this project again, and we're really excited to have one of last year's fellows come for next year. And I think that's one of the really great ways that we're able to integrate all of the different areas. What I would like to see personally as we continue to move forward is to see different and novel ways of how we can all learn from one another. The thing that I'm continually astounded by when I meet all of these people who come, you have to realize that, or at least I think, there's nothing braver than an adult amateur musician who is, many of them are the top of their field, of whatever field of expertise they're in.
Right.
They come simply because they love music and simply because they love playing with other people and meeting other people. And that is mind-boggling in many ways, that they're willing to put themselves out there to learn music kind of as just without being the expert in the room. And yet at the same time, I think many of them are so knowledgeable in other aspects that are interwoven with our musical lives.
That's true.
I think the conference is a wonderful environment to be able to serve as a catalyst for different types of collaboration and learning experiences, not just music and extra musical, but to really see how themes in our lives can be interwoven in various different fields all at once. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we've been in talks a little bit, but hopefully when we get back into person, we might have some new projects up our sleeves for ways for us to maybe share all of our knowledge a little bit more and have more discussions. So.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us and just giving us a perspective of what you do, who you are, and where we're going. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thanks so much, Kurt, and I look forward to seeing you in person.